Hey everyone, it's me, Arden Lee, and today we're going to be talking about how do we engage with social media when there is so much negativity out there. This is a great question. It was a question asked by one of the members of the Repatterning Parlor, which is the group that I moderate on Facebook. So, by the way, if you're not yet joined up, go ahead and check the description box where you'll find a link to come join us. Just answer the two member questions, and we'd love to have you there. And then you can request some of these videos as well. So I'm grateful for this question because it's the key to a much larger question. How do we engage with our social media when there's so much negativity on it? Well, the lovely thing about our social media is that we can curate our feeds. And in fact, the practice and the exercise of curating our social media feed is a great way to practice curating things in real life as well. Social media tends to be this sort of little microcosm of our lives, and especially for me, as someone who teaches online and primarily works online. And it can sometimes, I have to remind myself sometimes that I exist in a body, that I exist in real life too. And every once in a while I'll call up my friends and be like, okay, I need some like grounding in person time. Like, let's go out and do a thing. Let's like be in nature. Let's like, be in a place where we can be in our bodies. And so I have to be conscious of creating more of that, right? So because social media sometimes looks like this little microcosm of the world, right? This other model of the world that is not the physical world, but still exists in front of us. In this digitized and therefore much more sort of organized, categorized kind of manner, right? It's easier for us to look up things, to find what we want, to mute the channels that we don't want to see anymore. It's like with our friendships in real life, there's so rarely a binary. We have we have distance or we have closeness. And but on Facebook it's just like we're friends or we're not friends, right? And by that, of course, I mean Facebook friends, and of course there are all sorts of levels of friendship even within the people that I'm Facebook friends with, right? So but there's this clarity that comes from seeing it organized, and that's why this is a really great exercise for discernment, right? So one of the phrases that you may have heard me or other people say every once in a while is this idea of a social media diet, right? What are we feeding ourselves with? What are we nourishing ourselves with? And so being able to curate our feeds and specifically choose to focus on and emphasize seeing the things that make us happy, that make us feel positive, that are serving a purpose in the world, that are serving a purpose in our lives and in the effects that they have on us. That's something that we can choose to do quite consciously. And social media organizes it so that it makes it very easy to do, right? If there's someone that we don't really want to see in real life anymore, we can't like block someone in real life, right? Or at least that episode of Black Mirror has not happened yet, and I don't want it to. Don't get me wrong. That sort of that exponential technology really terrifies me sometimes. But the nice thing about, say, a platform like Facebook, right, or Twitter, is especially with Facebook, we can actually choose up to 20 accounts of whose posts we'd like to see first in our feeds. So I went through at some point and I just started picking the people who were meaningful to me, and also the people who I felt the most resonance with when I would read their posts. Maybe someone I haven't met in real life, but someone who is doing work that I feel is really important, et cetera, et cetera. And, the reason I say this is a great exercise is because if you think of it as that sort of microcosm of our reality, Abraham Hicks says, makes a metaphor, a comparison. Abraham Hicks being the intergalactic thought collective that is channeled by a woman named Esther Hicks. And one of the things that has come through in one of those channeled deliveries is, if life is like a buffet, right? If you're at a buffet, there's going to be plenty of food there that you don't like. But do you worry about it? Do you stress about it? No, you choose what you do like. You choose the food that you do want and you put it on your plate, and there you go, and you don't stress about it anymore. And so often there are things in the world that we don't want to see and that we don't like, and yet we continue engaging with them, right? I don't want to mistake this for lacking righteous anger, because as I hope people who are familiar with my work by now know, I'm a big believer in using our energy and the force of our energy to also change the world around us, right? To do what we need to do to bring a vibration of light and love and awareness that is so strong that that it will not only infect all of those around us, right, and give them hope so that they can see what is possible for themselves, but also that at times requires us to get angry about injustice, right? But I want to emphasize that if we're angry in a way that contracts us and that makes us feel defeated and makes us feel bad, and bad in a way of like of undermining or weakening or debilitating our systems, not it makes me feel angry, like I want to get up and do something about it. If we're doing that, then we're not going to be of any help, right? I see people all the time who share really angry memes, about injustice, and I look at everything that these posts or memes are showing, and I'm like, yes, I agree with all of that. Yeah, absolutely. And what are you doing about it? What are you doing other than repeating all of this injustice and making yourself upset, right? I believe in staying very aware of the injustice in our world, but it is important. It is important that we take on what we can take on from that place of wholeness, which means that we don't want to get thrown off our game, right? We don't want to log on to social media and have it exhaust us. And we don't want to go out in our lives that we are also curating by what we say yes and what we say no to, and what we choose to focus our energy on, and what we choose to discern away from. We don't want to be in an energetic field or an environment of stimuli around us that are weakening us or debilitating us, because then that doesn't allow us to serve from a full cup, right? So let's go back to the question about Facebook. So curating our social media diet is important to maintaining our state of positivity. And that means you get to choose who you follow and don't follow. You get to choose. You can have someone that you might really like and you might really care about, but if you're not in a place where you feel strong enough in your own vibration yet, and that's fine, where you can see that negativity over and over and not let it affect you, it's okay. Put that person on mute, unfriend that person, it's okay to take care of yourself, because you want to get to a place where you've taken care of yourself enough that you then can be exposed to those things and not have it affect your inner state, your own vibration, where you can look at tragedy in the world and go, that's really sad, and I'm going to feel feelings about that are very normal. I'm going to feel grief, I can feel sadness, but I'm not going to make a story about it that it's more real, right? I'm going to acknowledge, hey, I am still living in this world that has a lot of injustice in it, and that where a lot of people are getting hurt, and it's my job to take care of myself and be a force of light so I can go forward and help other people to be able to do that as well. There's so much of a larger context to the work we're doing, and I think I'll save that for the next video. But taking care of ourselves is really paramount. Taking care of our happiness. And hopefully, part of me in answering this question is like, do I need to talk about actually like going through and choosing the people that you focus on in your Facebook feed, and choosing the people that you mute, or, the channels you unfollow, or the people that maybe you even block or unfriend, right? It's like I said, this is it's a platform, it's a software that makes it very easy to choose. And once we get better at choosing that on Facebook or in our social media, we'll also get better at that discernment in real life too. Again, in this practice, right? Another practice for discernment that I teach people is like when you go to a restaurant and you look at a menu, you know how to choose the thing you want, right? Same thing with Abraham Hicks' metaphor of the buffet. You go to the buffet and you know how to make yourself a plate of things that you want. And it sounds so simple, But how many times in our lives do we choose friends or partners who make us miserable, right? Or who with whom we co-create misery unconsciously, right? With whom we replicate our patterns with our parents, with whom we, reenact our trauma bonds, et cetera, et cetera. How many times, even on Facebook, might we feel obligated to stay friends with someone who is, causing us these negative feelings that we're speaking of that we don't want to engage anymore, right? But we're still staying connected to them because we have this feeling of obligation, of friendship to them, or oh, they'll be mad if I unfriend them, and I understand some of that, and of course I'm not I'm not a proponent either of just being like, oh, toxic person, toxic person, toxic person, because sometimes that pattern goes so far that we fail to look at ourselves and we just blame everyone else around us for being toxic. So I just want to emphasize that's not what I'm talking about. But what I am talking about is that taking care of ourselves and getting ourselves to a place where where we can embody that light and where that vibration in ourselves is so strong that we can carry it with us through the world is ultimately going to be of more service to those people than us sitting there making ourselves miserable because we're staying connected to something that is for the moment chaining us down to a vibration that we're not in agreement with. It's when we heal ourselves and take responsibility for how we feel that then maybe we can go back to that person, a year or two later and be a really good ear and be able to help them, right? Hey, look, do you want to see what I did to get happy, right? Would you like some help? Would you like some tips, right? Would you like, is that something you're looking for? Are you looking for support? Is it helpful for me to try and help you through this situation, right? But we can't do that for other people if we haven't done it for ourselves first, because we won't have any reserves of that energy to pull from. That's something I've really been working on in myself lately, you guys, is I've come from such a rapid expansion in the past couple of years, and I've come from a history of so much trauma, and I want to get to the point where I can hold space for literally anyone, and anyone who comes to me with a problem, especially people that maybe I don't have a personal relationship with or I'm not very close friends with, will come to me and I'll feel this exhaustion. I'll feel like, oh God, more things that are like, more things that feel like they're going to drain my energy. And my intention for this year has been, how do I strengthen my own body? How do I take care of myself enough that I have that energy and that light to give to other people? What would it look like for me if I had limitless energy and that anyone who came to me at any time I was able to hold space for, at least for a little while, right? At least to make maybe a small change or a small adjustment or just help someone feel heard. I don't know if that's realistic, and I'm sure that the more I do this work and the more people find it and start to follow it, the larger an audience it's going to have, and the more, so maybe, but as an ideal, it is currently something I am striving toward. It's something that I can put as, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, at least you'll land among the stars, because I want to be operating from that place, but it takes time to get there. I couldn't have just left here from my history of trauma, right? So if you need to go into that cocoon for a while, and if you need to mute people, it's not personal, If you're taking care of yourself first, you'll be able to take care of them better in the future. So on Facebook, and also using Facebook to practice for where you want to use your discernment in real life too, right? So yeah, you guys, be mindful. The same that you look at a menu or you walk down the aisle of a buffet and you decide what you want, you can do that same thing on Facebook too. Ask yourself, how does this person's posts make me feel, right? And, this is important too, because I was talking about justice and I was talking about, our righteous anger. I stay connected to a couple of people and groups who I know will post things that I need to know about. There are people whose job in the collective, right, whose role in their communities they serve is to be sort of like the first person who knows. There are people who basically, I will look at and say, I know their values, I know what they're going for, and whatever political action they recommend, that's something I can do. And I'm grateful to those people for providing those shortcuts, because then I can focus on the work that I'm doing with the repatterning project, and reading all about keeping up on all my reading about all the research and all the work that's going to help me serve people at that level, right? So I stay connected to other people who let me know what I can do just as my basic civic duty, and what I need to get angry and take action on. And then I don't worry about the rest of it. I don't immerse myself in it. I know if there's something that I need to know, that person will post something about it, and I'll know about it. And I don't stay connected to all the mainstream news channels in that manner. I pick the person who is the person or community or small group of people who are sharing the things that I need to know about in that arena, and I don't really listen to the rest of it. Of course, yeah, I see stuff on my social media feed and whatever, but the way that I respond to that is I keep doing my own work because I know that the more people that I can help make happy, help invite to be happy, help invite to make themselves happy, the more people I can do that with through the Repatterning Project and through the work that I'm doing there, and just through who I'm being in the world, then the less of all of that crap we're going to see in the future, because there's going to be more people passing on that vibration of being able to source happiness within themselves, and not needing to live under values like greed or violence or fear or hatred to somehow feel safe, right? So so yeah, if you're logging onto your social media and it's making you feel bad, you get to just change it, and that's going to be the best for you, and it's going to be the best for everyone else too, ultimately. Thanks, you guys. Hope this was helpful.